All right, so here I have a few different scenarios. Let's talk through each of the scenario and think about how you would communicate. So we're still thinking about the scenarios where your supervisor sent an email or some type of communication. So scenario one, you started your first day and your supervisor sent an email addressing you and a few other employees. Okay, new employees, mostly contain information that you already knew. It's been a few hours already and no one has responded back directly to the supervisor. So you are thinking, yeah, it would be weird to respond back, especially the instruction was clear, the email was clear, and you don't have any question. Plus, the supervisor seems super busy and you don't want to disturb the supervisor. So you decided not to send an email back. Go in and pause the video if necessary and reread the scenario and really try to put yourself in that situation. Okay, try to empathize with this person who decided not to respond back. Aren't they being considerate of the supervisor? Okay, really think about what you would do with the current you, right? Not with the new you after you really internalize these core values, but just think about your current you and if you can relate to this person. Okay, this is my point of view. This is horrible. This person, first of all, why did no one respond in a few hours? If this was sent during the work hours, supervisor is expecting a response immediately, minutes. If in the case where they sent an email to 4 people, everyone responded within minutes and you didn't respond for a few hours, unless you had very, very good excuses, you already got -3 points from that supervisor for being not prompt. So it may be untrue, right? It may be completely false that you were not really, maybe you were attentive, but it portrays an image that you are lazy or you're not hardworking or you're not checking your communications or you don't care, right? The default mentality isn't going to be, oh, you must be super busy, you must have good excuses. That's what they may say, but what they're thinking inside is, what the heck, what's going on? Why am I not hearing back from you? Are you a problem employee that I'll have to deal with? That's what the supervisor is going to be thinking. So always, always, always respond within minutes. There's something wrong with this team about not responding. But if you're the first one to respond to that email, even with a message, understood, first name of the supervisor, right? Understood, Michael, or duly noted, Michael, noted, Michael. That's a great response because they know that you are prompt, you're paying attention, and makes them feel good. Supervisor is human after all. After they sent an email, they want to know if you got it, if you have any questions, if there is something else they can do to provide help. And if you just write back and say, duly noted, no questions, I'm good, I'll let you know if I have some questions along the way. You want to, when you respond to these emails, if you don't have anything to say, just write very short because supervisor is going to be very busy. But you wrote back promptly with a short message that you got the message. Good. Okay. All right. Let's look at another scenario. You have been assigned a new project where you're to work directly with a client. The new client sent you a 3-page email with new instructions on what you should be done. So as you read this, really try to understand the situation and empathize with these scenarios. Okay, to fully analyze the information in this 3-page, it will require you to spend at least 2 full working days to research and get back with some thoughtful question and response. And this sometimes happens quite a lot. A 3-page email means it's very, very important, and they had a lot of thoughts. So they sent it to you, but you get it and you're overwhelmed, right? There's so much information here. So you're thinking, okay, in order for me to really put together a thoughtful response, you need some time. You need quite a bit of time to devote on this. So let's say also here that You have seen how in some of the past companies, people just over communicate, and you hated that, right? In the past company, they send an email to 100 people. Everyone in that 100 email thread respond back. You're getting spam. Like, why do I need to know that employee 99 responded, yes, sir? Like, why is it flooding my inbox? So you're thinking, that's bad. I don't want to do that. I don't want to, send needless communication. So you're very careful in which communication you send. So you say, do you know what? I don't want to send a pointless email. So you decide to spend 2 working days to go over the client's email, do some research, and get back to the client with very thoughtful response. So you don't respond immediately. But things always take more time. Things come up, so you had some other things, and blah, 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 blah. Again, none of your excuses matter, really. Okay. But you end up sending an email back in 3 days. Your email's great, though. You reread the email 5 times, and you're like, man, that email is such a good email. I love it. But it's just a few days late, right? What's the big deal? Okay. Can you empathize with this person? Can you see yourself in this situation? This scenario is a solid B performance. It's not horrible, because I've seen worse, where people don't even respond back, where sometimes people respond back after a week or 2 weeks, and they say, oh, I had so many things come up, and sorry that I'm sending this week late, 2 weeks late. 3 days? Yeah, maybe forgivable. But now you're labeled as a B employee. Why? Well, supervisor appreciates that you want to put a thoughtful response, but you left the supervisor or the client hanging for 3 days. Do they know that you got the communication? And on this example, did they send an email to 100 people? No, they just sent an email to you. So why are you not responding back? Fast, within minutes, or within hours. There should never be a communication from the supervisor or the client where they hear back in days. Not acceptable. So how should you go about this? Well, write a short email, right? Again, you always want to make things concise as possible because you want to honor and appreciate how busy your supervisor or clients are. But you could respond back very shortly and say, hey, Mike, thanks for the email. Thanks for the thoughtful email. I have received it, but I do want to take some time to really reflect upon your questions and put together a thoughtful response for you. Is it okay for me to take the next few days to digest and then to get back to you with my thoughts? ? Your name. So short, right to the point. Supervisor knows or your client knows that you got it, that you read it, that you're thinking about it, you're reflecting on it, and you're asking in some ways a permission for the supervisor or the client, whether that deadline or that goal that you've set for yourself is also acceptable, within the range of the supervisor or the client. And most of the time, the supervisor and the client will say, that's fine. And they will be thinking, wow, you're good, right? You took the time to read the email, and I sent that 15 minutes ago, but you actually read that, and you're digesting it. That's great. 3 days works within my time frame, so go ahead. Or they may say, do you know what? I'm in a very special, situation here. I'm sorry, but I have another presentation or things. So is there any way you can do it? Get me a response in the next 24 hours. So at least you're having a dialogue, right? Communication, you gotta, any communication that takes days, you're not having that dialogue. You're not generating new ideas. It's just not effective. So don't do that. Right? Okay. For some of the other scenarios, I'll create that on a separate video.